Hello and welcome to another ROBO Deck Designer video. I'm Paul and this video here is all about planning a deck, all the things you need to know. So just when you're just getting started, just your whole process of actually designing a deck. So we'll go through the whole process, all the considerations you need to know in that. So once you've got your deck on paper, you've really got to find out if you can actually do what you want to do. So you'll probably need to talk to your council because there's regulations on how close to the boundary you can build your deck, also things like the coast and rivers and things like that. So yeah, it's probably a good step actually just to talk to your council, say look, this is what I want to do, and just see what they come up with. You might want to just look at the location of your deck there, just see if there's a problem with wind, also with sun as well. Sometimes the location deck could get quite hot there at the end of an afternoon. So there's on the ROBO Deck Designer website, there's a web page there in planning your deck, and it's got also another web page on with the sun as well, the effect on your deck. There's also a link on there to a sun calculator which can actually work out the location of the sun on your deck at any particular time, and that so you can work out if there's a problem with neighbours' houses in the way interfering with the sun. So with the cost of building a deck, with the raw materials, normally this is a bit hard to work it out, but fortunately with the ROBO Deck Designer website you can actually create your decks online, and at the end of the process it actually gives you a printout of all the materials required for a deck, so you can actually work out the cost quite easily on that one there. For the building consent and resource consent, you may or may not need them, but they can start adding up the cost. So we'll start with the resource consent. This is if you're building your deck close to a boundary, a stream, river, lake or the coast, you're going to need a resource consent. You're going to need a building consent if your deck is more than 1.5 metres above the ground. So both those there can actually bump up the cost quite considerably. There's a web page on the ROBO Deck Designer website on the consent process, so if you go to the website there and check it out, it's probably a good idea, and also talk to your council what you want to do as well. Now another part here is if your deck is more than 1.5 metres above the ground, you can't build it yourself, you'll need a licensed building practitioner to build your deck. So all the decks on the ROBO Deck Designer website currently are not more than 1.5 metres from the ground. With the building code, regardless if your deck needs building consent or not, it still needs to follow the building code regulations. So the main document is NZS 3604. Some of the sections won't be relevant for a deck, like roof or walls or things like that, but the main document, like foundations, size of the bearers and the joists and that, is actually relevant. But there's other documents as well. If your deck is more than 1 metre above the ground, you need a barrier around your deck, so there's regulations on that as well. So on the ROBO Deck Designer website there's a link to all these documents where you can actually download them, all of them for free, including NZS 3604. Another thing to mention is that these regulations are very, very thorough. They go right from the size of the bearers and the joists right the way down to the size of the nails or just about everything on a deck. So they are very, very thorough, and it does need a bit of interpreting of the building code in that, if you can understand that. And also if you make a mistake, well, yeah, you know, there's consequences there. So yeah, you've got to be the judge on that one if you're building a deck yourself. If you're building a deck yourself, there's a separate video I've actually done on the ROBO Deck Designer YouTube channel about building a deck yourself. So it's not just being able to have the skills actually to build the deck itself. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope it has been helpful for you for planning a deck. Don't forget to subscribe to the ROBO Deck Designer YouTube channel, and we'll catch up with you in the next video anyway. Thanks.